This is your invitation to the intersection of versatility and design. The kind of experience you can only find in a Lexus SUV. A feeling this empowering is invite only. Fortunately, you're invited. Experience the versatility of the complete line of Lexus SUVs and some of the best offers of the year on select models at the Invitation to Lexus sales event, now through April 1st. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Hello. It's me, Stephen Lee, Black Wall Podcast, your humble, gracious guide for another transmission. Today I will be coming to you with another transmission, welcoming you guys into the family room where we talk about, facilitate, and highlight investment strategies and financial education for the black and brown investor. I want to thank everybody from the first-time listeners to my original founding members. People have helped put bricks in this wall that we're building together. I also want to thank all of our previous guests that we've had. We're approaching our year anniversary. So this time is very special because it allows us to reflect not only on the new year, but on the past year that we've had as a podcast. The different things we've tried, different shots, different editing, different topic strategies, different business ventures that we've been in and out of, different experiences, life and business, how they intermingle. So I want to really, from the bottom of my heart, tell you guys thank you. This whole movement has grown pretty organically. And when I say organically, it's because, we don't have bots. We don't have any of that overly produced paid production and advertisement. We have the best of the best equipment. We have the best of all that type stuff. But our message and our validity in the space, I think, is unquestioned. And as we continue to build year after year, episode after episode, I want that to stay as the premium. I don't ever want to be caught in the situation or in the circumstance where I or the brand trades popularity for authenticity. I'll leave it at that. Also want to thank our lovely sponsors. And when I mean sponsors, I mean the people and the companies that help this vision and this message get disseminated weekly, daily. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes as far as support, as far as input, that the whole team cannot be forgotten. That you guys know who you are. So now we got through all the political stuff and all the fun stuff like that. I want to also do some shameless plugs. I want you guys to go on ahead and don't be afraid to check out this Patreon. It's something that I really believe in as far as ownership of the content, as far as having a library of everything that has been done and tried in this whole Black Wall experiment, I guess you would call it, because I had no clue what it was going to be when I started. And I'm okay with not knowing what it's going to be as I continue. Today, I want to talk about something that's very poignant in the new year. As you guys know, we have a new strategy, the way we pick out topics. So these things are very random as far as the topics come up. So the question then becomes, is when these random topics come up, is it because the energy is from you, is making it, drawing you to the topic, even though you have no clue what it is, or is it just reinforcing and emphasizing things that you probably already know in your spirit? So what is the grand scheme of things, right? When people say, oh, in the grand scheme of things, we need to stay focused on this. In the grand scheme of things. Hey, what is the grand scheme of things? For me, that has always been a dollar amount. I'll just be very honest. I started out as a kid when we used to play something called MASH. It was like a little cafeteria lunchroom game. The long and short of it is you would write the word MASH at the top of a paper. You'd fold it up, acronyms. I think it was mansion, apartment, shack, and a house. I think that was the way it went. And I remember really playing that game and really feeling like there were some real stakes on the line. Does that make sense? I took it way too serious for it to be, a 7-year-old playing a cafeteria game. But for me, when money and houses became involved at an early age, I equated it to Monopoly and to safety. I say Monopoly because Monopoly to me is one of the most competitive games that you can play. I think if anyone, especially coming off the holiday times, if you have a family tradition like mine where you play Monopoly, Dominoes, Uno, any of these competitive games, you get to see the innocent and not so innocent come out of your family and your family dynamic. I'm not here to judge that, not here to talk about that. If you want to hear about my family dysfunction and dynamic and all that other shit, there's plenty of other episodes to go to. This we're talking about is how, why, and what is your grand scheme of things, right? So for me, I've always been focused on the numbers. I've been focused on the actual amount. I've actually, throughout my whole life, had to add the premium and learn to value the quality of things, right? I've always liked nice things. I've always liked nice things. Ever since I was a little boy, I liked nice things. I didn't realize the beauty of nice things is that they have the ability to last a long time. The longer they last and the nicer they stay, right, in this time frame of lasting, it says something about your wealth and your ability to maintain things and to set aside resources, right? To not only grow, but to maintain the things you have, right? So for me, I guess the grand scheme of things has been twofold. It's been not only did I have a desire and a need to amass things, I wanted to keep them. I know that part of that wanting to keep them is because so many of the things that I used to love to collect, comic books, baseball cards, normal kid stuff, got lost in all my moving as an adolescent. So I think I was cheated of a lot of that collecting. So a lot of that collecting is now happening as me as a man, right? So I'm collecting man toys. I collect houses. I collect old school classic cars. I collect, oh man, I'm not ready to say the rest of it. I'll be honest with you. I stopped myself. If you know me, you would know where I was going with that. But I purposely stopped myself. I stopped myself because I wasn't being raw. I wasn't being real. I thought about it as I stopped myself. I said, damn, that was the first time in this whole exchange of a podcast that I actually thought about something that I was going to say and how it would make me look. Hey, fuck it. We're shooting straight, man. Why? I mean, why not? What's my grand scheme of things? I guess my grand scheme of things is not only to amass things, but to make it look a certain way while I do it. Guilty. caught red-handed on camera recording this episode. I guess in some world I can delete all this shit and nobody would know about it, but then I would know that I deleted it. So we know that's not going to happen. So wow. I collect women too. Fuck it. I'm going to say it. I said it. I've been guilty of collecting women too. Uncomfortable silence. Uncomfortable silence. I think I'm struggling for a way to explain that. Explain that right now so it doesn't sound so bad. It sounds fucking horrible when I said it. It felt even worse. But hey, I'm the one who decided to sign up to do a goddamn podcast and to have my moniker be Objective, Raw, and Real. I said I would talk about my chronicles and how my life intersects with money, how finances and the financial education and the growth process for myself as a buy and hold investor, I think does have a unique tint to it because of my upbringing, because of my culture, because of my color. I would be disingenuous if I didn't acknowledge that. I think Salt and Pepper being my first rap album, and all the other things, and not necessarily that album, right? Just let's not get too specific here. I'm talking about the culture, I'm talking about the genre I grew up in, I'm talking about some of the things I saw. I know, and things I experienced. I know that affected my desire to collect things, including women. Well, that was fucking difficult. I think it was so difficult because I have 3 daughters. I have 3 daughters. And there were large portions of my life where I was investing, I was taking from, I was lying to, I was telling the truth to, I was intimate with, I was the whole myriad of things that someone could be to 3 people's daughters at once. Yeah. That's just the fucking truth. That's just the truth. I don't even know how we got here from the topic of the grand scheme of things. I don't know. You know, it talks about visualizing your goals and knowing how to scale. That's the topic. Look, right here. If you're on podcast audio, you can't see that I just held the cue card up to the camera. But if you went ahead and gandered over into Patreon world, and when I get around to it, it'll be up on YouTube, because I'm not in a rush to give other people my content for free with no copyright or license rights. But moving right along, I know why that came up. It came up because visualizing your goals. See, I always thought that the money would make everything okay. And I think that's a common misnomer. It's a common misnomer because when you start to actually amass money, you start to learn more about it. And you start to learn how to use that tool more. You start to learn the times when to flex it and the times when to lay it down. But the process and the ego build between the time where you learn to wield it in a positive way and the time that you just get it and you just start fucking slinging it around. Oh, that could be years. It could be decades. Maybe you never. And the people that you're going to hurt, insult, take for granted, step over, step on, it could be untold. It could be untold. You know, when you're broke and you're thinking about making money and you have that real hunger, for me, fuck it, I won't talk about everybody else. I won't try to shield myself by acting like I have this huge army behind me that feels the same way. Maybe no one feels the same way. For me, when I was broke, I cared less about the means in which I got my money. And I don't mean in the Hollywood sense, oh, it's not right for your people and you're doing something wrong. Fuck all that shit, man. I'm talking about I didn't even value whether I kept a person at the end of the deal or not. I was more concerned about the deal. In most situations, up until probably right now when we're having this conversation, because now I have to say it out loud, right? This is the beauty of this podcast. And people always say, oh, you should write a book, you should this. And listen, no bullshit. My life story is pretty fucking exciting. But it's salacious. Does that make sense? There's a lot of scandal. There's a lot of sex. There's a lot of, oh my God, I can't believe we did that. In my real life. And I think that it clouds and it can give people an excuse not to listen to my mind because of the personal choices I've made. The personal choices I made have always been about just having fun. I've always had just an extreme premium of having fun and doing what I wanted to do, the adrenaline rush of it. So when I was thinking of goals and visualizing my life, I guess I was only thinking about it from the prism of if I got more money, then I could be more secure in doing whatever I wanted. And really mainlining that adrenaline. Really just living extravagantly, and not in a material sense, but in a flamboyant, this is me sense. I felt the money entitled me to it. Yeah. I still struggle with that. Shit, we're going to be honest. We're going to be honest today. Why not? It rears its head the worst with me and women, with me and dealing with women. Because when I want to get them, when the courting stage is coming or whatever we want to call it, all I care about is their emotions. All I care about is emotions and feelings and how deep we are. Let's lock in all these great terms. And then on the exit, I really could care nothing about their emotions. I just want to handle business. I know that that's a deep defense protection mechanism. I know that. But how do you get someone to understand that, or how do you express that, or how do you even feel comfortable acknowledging that in the time of distress? You don't visualize that. That doesn't come up in your fucking grand scheme of things plan. You know? I remember I had a number. My number was 10 million. I said I wanted to amass $10 million in assets, free and clear. And then I would just stop. I would stop. That's my retirement number. I'm done. I don't know. I think I was just like, hey, that's it. I'm going to buy my house in Phoenix in cash, have a pool. And then from there, I would just, live off essentially the residuals of the investment, which is the rent. I realized that your net worth does not equal your vision. Your net worth will not quench your vision and your hunger to see your vision come to life. If you're truly if it's real, if it's really yours. If it's really yours, not if it's something that you are in the right position and had the opportunity to invest in or to be a part of and make a big chunk of change. Completely separate. To me, my scheme was nothing more than the different little rabbit holes, paths, waterways, creeks, sometimes oceans of life that I was willing to go through to accomplish my goal. That was my grand scheme. My grand scheme was to be willing to do anything short of compromise my sexuality, compromise my morality as far as permanent moral stains I felt. But who was I to judge? I was wrong. My scale was sliding according to, I guess, what I felt I was able to uphold. Yes, I was able to uphold not sleeping with a man or being intimate with a man or anything inappropriate sexually for advancement or comfort in the world. But I can't say I upheld the same morality when it came to heterosexual interactions with women. I've slept with people for a place to stay before. I have. I've slept with women for food, for weed, for a place to just get my mind together for a few months. Really leaning on them hard, too. Like an entitled broke homeless prince. Hey, we're just shooting straight here. That level of arrogance. Shameless, too. Shameless, because in my mind, this is just what you're supposed to do in order to help me recharge to get to the top of the mountain. That's pretty arrogant, though, if you think about it. Where you think wholeheartedly that whatever your plan is in your mind is worth other people's inconvenience and resource draining in order to recharge you, reposition you to accomplish your goals, in the hopes and trust that you will compensate them on the back end. That's a hell of a ask. That's a hell of a ask. That's a hell of a ask. I'll be honest with you. I think I've asked that of too many people. I've asked that of too many people. Because I'm the only one that stayed with me through this whole process. I'm not going to say that. That's a lie. Shout out Jen. You know, me and Jen bought our first investment. We bought our first house, period, together. And our first investment property together. And when I tell you it was a fucking shit box, the first investment property. Oh, burnt out, completely burnt out, off Cleveland Avenue in Atlanta. And somehow I convinced her to put our only $10,000, our first $10,000, our first glimpse of hope of clearing our bills off that we've been behind on for a year or two, right? New homeowners. And my fucking crazy ass comes up with a scheme to buy a $10,000 burnt out vacant house in Atlanta's, some of Atlanta's worst neighborhood. That was my idea. Who knows what her grand scheme was because she supported my crazy ass idea. My grand scheme was to not fuck up the $10,000 like I had done previously before in life so many times. And I felt the only way that I've heard, right? At this point, this is all theory because I hadn't done it before, right? So let's go ahead and nail that down. Because a lot of time people say, oh, it's so hard. You talk like you this, you talk like you just got, this, that. So I started listing all my adversities. And so sometimes I think it actually makes people feel more combative, right? Because they feel like I'm trying to take away their excuse. Listen, I don't care if you have an excuse or not. I'm just telling you what I went through. Okay? I know for a fact that I was moving off of theory. I had never, we had just barely bought our house. Okay. Which is when you buy your first home to live in, it's completely different than buying an investment property. And then you add in buying an investment property of the lowest of, I guess you would call it quality. You know, if you're doing class A, B, C, this would probably be a class D, E situation, if there is such a thing. But I knew that had a better chance of holding that 10,000 than putting it in a bank account or paying all of our bills, whatever the fucking alternative was. Oh no, the alternative was buy another food truck. You guys remember how hot food trucks were? The Chef movie, and everybody who was a chef, their goals, I'm going to get a food truck. Everybody I spoke to, we're looking to get a food truck. Listen. Let me explain something to you. That is definitely one of the top 3 hardest jobs I've ever had in my life. It was owning a food truck. Just a grind. Just a fucking grind. Oh my God. It was such a grind. Especially doing independent, like where you don't have like some parents or grandparents that are like financing you through their 401k, and you just have like all this money to do everything like the exact right way and have all the easy equipment and a test kitchen and this and that. Man, listen. You talk about get it out the goddamn mud. Remember one time we did a mud race, Savage Race. Yeah. Oh man, I wasn't medicated. My equilibrium as far as chemicals in my brain was off. It was just so much pressure. Just had the girls. Oh. And there are so many outside forces that now I look back at it that really had no real desire to see me win. It was more of people wanting to see, just wanting to see. Like telenovela style. My grand scheme was just to fucking make that number. I had called that number before all this shit had happened with me. So now I say 10 million, and now what am I supposed to do? Hyper focus on it. That's all I had. Was this dream. And I was ruthless on the way to it. I didn't value people, didn't value relationships, didn't value my impact on people. And as I talked about before, I damn sure didn't respect the consequence. No. I visualized my goals, but my goals never had the human aspect in them. My goals never had the idea of failure in them. And when I'm talking about failure, I'm talking about the deep failure, like having to move out of the house where your children are. The failure of divorce. The failure of not keeping your word in a relationship. The failure of not closing the deal. The failure of not being able to afford something. That's a big one. Right? All the things I said, the one that stood out to me the most is when I say you can't afford something. Oh, man. It shows you how fucking warped my sense of emotional reality is. Hey, when I get on this podcast, the beauty of it is I can't see you listening. I don't even know if you are fucking listening. I'm really doing it for me. I'm doing it for me because there's certain things I need to say out loud so that I can correct them. Or at least I have the chance to correct them. Shit, I've said them out loud. I need to address it. And then maybe somebody, if there are people listening, maybe somebody will sit there and say, you know what? I'm on the verge of making that same mistake. You know, all this lofty hippy dippy shit, it sounds good on the other side when you're making decisions that have commas and zeros attached to them. But I really do remember, I remember probably too well what it felt like to not have that control, or that feeling of control of my financial possibilities. To feel like my grand scheme of things is directly attached to how well I can play my industry. Whatever your industry is. Mine was culinary. You know. And the weird thing is, like, even with the streets, you can't play the streets. The streets are probably like they're somewhere between a casino and a church. I know that's a crazy mix. Gosh, Lord. Whew. I say a church because the rules seem so rigid and everybody seems to follow them on Sunday. And they seem so well known. They seem so rehearsed. They seem so written in stone. On Sunday. And probably half a Monday. And then you get your special holidays. But the rest of the week in real life, oh, everybody's bending those rules. They're bending them. Damn near breaking them. By Saturday night, most of those rules are broken. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And then everybody's coming back on Sunday to try to put them rules back together in their own life, put them rails back. I don't know if we visualize those shockwaves and those abrupt turns and shifts that our quest and hunger for money making and entrepreneurship cause. I didn't. I don't think the people in my life that I didn't value in the moment the same as the deal. Let's leave it there. Whatever the deal was. I don't think they're going to feel the compensation by whatever monetary gains I've made and keep and hold and maintain to grow the family. I don't know. See, that's the bet you make. Right? And it's like the self-fulfilling prophecy. The more I've done it, see, now it's like, well, shit, you're taking time away from people. You've lost people. You've got to be successful. It's really something that you have to decide in your own mind. You know, when we say how to scale in business and real estate terms, we're usually talking about how to scale up, right? How do we scale up? I'm going to say, how do we balance when I think scale from now on? How do I scale this? How do I balance this? I don't think we need to scale up. If you're a natural entrepreneur, hard work, seen some success, done some right things with your capital, willing to keep pushing, I don't think the scale up needs to be your first thought in this environment. I think balance might need to be your first thought if you're anything like me. I think the balance is the hard part. I don't say the money's not going to save you, but the money's not going to save you. It's just not. It's not going to insulate us from the struggles. I don't know why this is all hitting me so hard. This was supposed to be I don't want to say an easy one, but this when I read the topic card, I thought this was a mail it in kind of episode, So the grand scheme of things, what's the grand scheme of things? Oh, visualizing your goals and knowing how to scale. That's literally what the card says. My mind went somewhere different. My mind went somewhere different because I'm tired of hearing the same generic bullshit when it comes to money, when it comes to investing, and when it comes to the ability of our people. I think these things are limited because of the limited scope and intake that we celebrate. I think it's okay to have made a lot of money by your own standards, right? Everybody's got their own standards. To make a lot of money and still feel like you made some mistakes along the way. I think that's okay to admit early on, before you're on your deathbed. I think that's all right. If it's not all right, fuck it. I just did it. I'm making it all right. My grand scheme of things was 100 deeds in the safe. So I wrote the book. I don't even know if it's a shameless plug. Hey, it's out there. Links are always in the description. You guys check it out. There's vacant properties. There's not a lot now. I'll be honest with you. There's not a lot of vacant properties now. So maybe the book was a little late, ill-timed. Who cares? It's something I need to get out of my mind. It's relevant if you're doing a renovation. It's relevant for all these things. You email me, DM me, I'll send you a copy for free. PDF. It's easy. If you want to donate, you go to Amazon, buy it. Either way, hey, the information's out there. I think for me, I want a more holistic approach, conversation, and depiction. That's the word I'm looking for. And depiction of what being an investor really is. Like independent, ground up, soil celebrity status. You feel me? Not playing with somebody else's money and taking credit for the wins or losses of their money. I'm talking about actually developing a sack of money. Whether your sack of money is $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $100,000, $1 million, I don't really care, right? This is not, the amount is not the conversation right now. The conversation is that you've amassed this sack of money. And now you're determined to push the next step of your vision. That push, wherever you are, I'm in a certain spot right now. I'm in a spot where I'm trying to push into commercial real estate. We'll talk about it later. That push is kicking my ass. It's kicking my ass. It's kicking my ass. But I know if I just stay diligent, keep going, I know that I'll learn enough things to finally get that lock to click. Right? That's the hope. That's the goal. That's the plan. How does this fit in to what we're talking about today and how to scale and all that? I'm going to tell you how. I got so fucking frustrated last week, I had to go to sleep. I had to take a nap. The whole thing with the lender and the this and back and forth. And oh my God, it made my head want to explode. I said I walked into this year with my premium of, if it doesn't facilitate my happiness as far as blood pressure happiness, like not just I'm getting what I want, satisfaction. I'm talking about happiness. If it doesn't work on that, if it doesn't work on releasing, right? Listen to me. Releasing my anger, not learning to deal with it, not better prepare for it, none of that shit. I'm talking about release it. If it's not doing that, I got to step away. The dollar amount doesn't matter right now for me on that. Because I got to let this stuff go. Right? Because I could feel it affecting me. Got to learn to let certain things go. That's my scale. I'm scaling to the point of pivoting my my rejuvenation and my regeneration of my positive, of my happy, right? And releasing and detoxing away from my anger. And my anger is not from any person. It's from me. It's from within. I need to let it go because I'm putting it on other people. How about that for some growth? But I guess having money makes you be able to either hide your shit or want to deal with it, like want to face it. Because now you have time. You have time one way or another. You know, your time moves differently when you are making your own money. Your ability to turn up your revenue changes when you're independent. But your ability to fucking starve also changes when you're independent. Because you're going to feel it. Oh, you're going to feel it. Most people don't get past that part. Most people don't even want to touch that part, let alone get past it. You tell them, oh, there's a good chance that you're going to be broke and fuck up your comfortability and your routine for 2 years. Tell them that. Tell them 24 months. Oh, everything that you like, all your little routines, all your little creature comforts on Friday because you work hard, you think you deserve it. Man, throw that shit the fuck out the window. 2 years. No fucking 6 months, not no 60 days. This ain't losing no weight. This isn't trying to get into this bathing suit, you know, or lose your gut, boys and girls. You know, it's not that. It's 2 years. When you come out of it, you won't even know how to be your irresponsible financial self after this. Hey, just telling you what I know. Stay dangerous.
This is your invitation to the intersection of versatility and design. Experience the empowering feeling of the Lexus SUVs and some of the best offers of the year on select models at the Invitation to Lexus sales event, now through April 1st.
Lease the 2024 RX 350 Premium All-Wheel Drive for $528 a month for 36 months with $49.99 due at signing.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Call 1-800-USA-LEXUS for important lease offer and pricing details. Not all customers will qualify. Offer in the Lexus Eastern area and it's April 1st, 2024.